Thank you, Robert.
That's gotta be nice. That's right.
Know all about it.
Oh, yeah, my daughter, she's just a 10 right now, so I got years. It'll be a blink of an eye.
Okay, it's 5 o'clock. We need to get this meeting started. And at this time, I want to welcome everyone here. And I want to turn the meeting over to Mr. McDonald. He's going to read our prayer list and also lead us in prayer, if you will, Mr. McDonald.
Prayer list, we have the Manning family, Deanna Shoulders, Joe Taylor, Joe's doing better, Scotty Lewis, Danny Clare, Jack Williams, Judy Taylor, Courtney Taylor, Amanda Vaughn, Peggy Cookston, Katie Foster, and newborn twin girls, congratulations. Rachel Kelly and family, her mother passed away, and Mr. Huey Gregory. Let's pray. I got one on that to it, Tommy. It is my cousin. Tommy? Yeah, no Tommy. Okay, let's pray. Lord, thank you so much for this day and the blessings, Lord, and the opportunity to come here and serve our community. And I pray you give us wisdom in every decision that we make that might be pleasing to you. And that we thank you for the goodness that you show us every day, for the blessings you've always showed our country. And hope, ask you to continue so in Jesus' name, amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Have a pretty short meeting tonight. I hope you've all had a chance to look at your board packet. Have, like I say, Mr. Manning's absent tonight. His mother's not doing good at all. And first item on the agenda is our consent items. Do I have a motion to approve those?
Yes, sir.
Do I have a second? Second. Any discussion?
Smith County High School request to take a trip to Ireland. We need to discuss that.
If you want to pull that and Mr. McDonald and discuss it?
We were going to vote on it again.
Okay, all right. Okay, we'll pull that.
It's in the consent items,
Yeah.
unless you do want to discuss.
If you want to discuss something else, we'll pull it and vote on it. But if everybody's satisfied with it, I will do a roll call on it, and that way everybody will know. But she's here tonight. If anybody has questions, and if you feel more comfortable, we'll pull it and vote on it separate.
I think we should.
Okay, all right. We're gonna pull that one item, and the rest of them, we've got a motion second. Any more discussions on it? If not, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Like sign. Now, with that one consent item, that is the trip.
Funny, I didn't get the vote. I didn't get the vote.
Yeah, mine said the same.
Okay, okay. Now, we're gonna talk about that. First of all, do I have a motion for this trip?
Yes.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? Second, okay. Now we'll open it up for discussion.
I would like for the representative to explain exactly how involved they're going to be working cattle.
Okay, all right.
If they're going to be
Okay, sure,
I'd be fine with them taking a trip,
right.
but there's some danger involved.
I understand it. Now, Mr. Smith, would you address
Yes,
that?
Tony, you guys asked me to talk to some other directors, because we had several snow days and all that. And I can't remember now which one, but I did sit down with the director, and they were doing this same trip, and actually with cattle, but it was in Europe. It wasn't, this particular, it was a different area. But he talked highly of it, but it made me feel good that there was somebody else doing the same exact with this company. So, I didn't get to talk to a lot, but I think I talked to you outside, and I talked to Robin too. You know, there's different ways, you know, you could, you know, I don't see a lot of difference in, my son being in welding class or ag, like you're bringing people out to learn the artificial breeds. I don't think there's a lot of, but you could do it with a disclaimer, you could do it with a, is that the right terminology? You could do it with, they could go on a trip and not touch cattle. These different ways still, you could probably still do it if you didn't feel comfortable. So keep that in mind if you want to build it how you want to build it.
People that have mentioned it in my district have said that they don't think that's wise to let the kids go out of the country and be in a situation where they could be hurt, need medical care. Hey, if they could give them some idea of exactly what they're gonna be doing, then that would.
Would this company be okay, would they consider that the kids could go on the trip and could basically learn and watch and not have to physically be in the pen with the cattle?
Absolutely. So from my understanding, in speaking with the lady named Kate that I speak with more on this, of course, the information I provided with y'all last time I was here, again, thank you for coming back. And I have attached it to this as well. It's like the travel agenda, so it's a 10-day trip, there's a travel agenda on it. That's a working agenda though, so if there was something we needed to remove from it, we obviously could. I should say agenda itinerary, I guess. So the travel itinerary. So if I said, hey, my district is uncomfortable with these trips, you know, given the opportunity to work with cattle or whatever, I'm sure we could replace that with something else. As part of the tour revolves, you know, I guess kind of on the sightseeing things, there's castles and stuff like that that we get to go tour and see. There's also the opportunity to have that hands-on experience, but I think that still comes from an observer standpoint as well. So if there's a situation that perhaps I deem uncomfortable for a student, even though I don't think they would put us in any situation like that, I say, hey, kids, you know, we're just gonna watch this. And I would give, you know, the students that decide to attend that opportunity as well. There are days, you know, that we do things in class that, you know, not everybody is super comfortable with. Now, I do try to push kids outside of their comfort zone. I think that's important. That's the way that we grow and we learn and we develop our skill set. But, you know, I previously taught biology before teaching this class. And so the last thing we would do is we would dissect. And some people do not like dissecting. It is not their cup of tea. And so I would tell those students, I'd say, hey, please pick your partner as someone who doesn't care to have their hand in the frog and doing those things. And so I want you to help that person, and I want you to hand them the tools and all that. So you're still a working component of that partnership, but I understand that you're uncomfortable with that. And I think that that would be the same way to approach this situation as well. So if you're uncomfortable with working with cattle or even, you know, being there, then don't. You don't necessarily have to. But again, if that's something that as a whole you're gonna say, hey, we're not gonna let you go and this is the line in the sand, then I say we just move the line and I say, you know, Kate, I really appreciate the travel itinerary that's planned for us, but can we make some adjustments to it and maybe find us something else that my district is more comfortable with?
And Robin, I guess the question too, does it need to be, if that's something the board want to do, would that be as a whole group, or if I wanted to individually sign for mine, would that still relieve the responsibility of the board if I wanted to sign for mine?
As much as possible, certainly. I mean, you could create, or I could create a release of liability, you know, that if they wanted to participate in that part of the trip, you know, then you could have them sign a release of liability. The other thing to address what Dr. McDonald said, you know, as far as getting hurt in a foreign country, you could also require that they have, you know, medical insurance. You can get travel insurance that, you know, if you've had to be evacuated out. I've traveled with that when I travel internationally. I always have something that would get me back to the United States if I were to be injured or sick or, you know, have some issue. You could require that of your students. You can get a policy for about $250 to cover an entire year of travel. It not that large of an expense for a pretty good benefit, but that would be something, you know, if the concern is that they might get hurt, you know, and not be able to get home or need treatment, that might be something that you could, address. So,
Concern is if they're going to be handling large cattle,
mhm.
or especially if they're getting around the backside,
Oh, yeah, sure,
getting kicked.
yeah.
If they're not gonna do that, then I'm fine.
All right, fellas, have a question too.
Well, I think, to your point, too, I think, you know, there's a lot of ways they could get hurt on the trip, on that trip without it being involved with cattle, and I mean, that would even happen, like Mr. Smith said, in mobile class or, you know, even here, but it does make it a much greater concern than that.
People that have talked to me said, I can't believe they're gonna go over there and be around cattle, and what's gonna happen if they get kicked?
Well, I think working cattle there may be different than working cattle out here where you're, you know, where daddy's told you to stand in the field. You know?
It will.
The parents know what they're gonna do, don't
They would obviously be, but I guess my question to you, two questions about, one, do you make the policy then that nobody, or do you make a policy that I wanted to sign for mine to do it?
That would be at the board's
Okay.
discretion.
I think they need to understand that. And then
Good.
my question for you too is, would you still consider it to be highly educational if they didn't get in and work the cattle and so on, they'd still be learning?
Absolutely. I think that every bit of this trip is a wonderful experience to provide, for children. I did provide for you guys their certificate of liability insurance. Travel insurance for each student is built into this trip. EF has a $50 million, policy that goes in with this, so this is on with their trip. I spoke with Kate and she, you know, told me that, you know, if something happened to a child, that they would be taken, you know, into care, and that their health insurance would be considered first, and then this policy would be effective, everything like that. I can't say what would happen because I haven't gone. I don't know. I can't speak to the future or anything like that, but it's kind of like statistics, you know, everyone's like, oh, I'm scared to get in an airplane, what if it crashes? And they say you're more likely to be in an automobile accident 6 miles from your home than to be in a plane crash. And honestly, these children are more likely to maybe roll an ankle stepping off the bus than they are to get kicked by a cow. But again, that's not to say it couldn't happen or anything like that, but we just don't know. We can't predict the future. But we did work with this travel company and make sure that all the boxes are checked, and hopefully there are no problems. And from my understanding, they have a fantastic 24/7 safety response team that is available to you all the time. So if I needed support, if a child felt like they needed support, they have access to call that number too. They don't have to come find me and say, hey, Miss Ken, I think I need. They can do it for themselves. If a parent is on that trip with them, they can also. She told me that if there was to be an incident, that the tour director would not leave the group. Like, their job is to be with that group 24/7 all the time. So if the student did need to leave for medical care, that I would leave with that student. We would get medical care. If other attention needed to be directed to it, they would send more people, because everywhere that they send students for these learning opportunities, there are people that live and work there for this company. Like, that's their job. They're kind of the eyes and ears on the ground in that force. So if I needed additional support, someone would come to my aid.
Mr. Lewis.
Just a couple of things, and what I'm wanting to do is kind of back up a little bit to the last conversation that you were here. And you correct me anytime I'm wrong, okay? Because, I mean, that's frequent sometimes. The packet she gave us before, as I recall, didn't all the parents sign off on this? The parents signed off on their children going, correct?
Yes, sir, they will.
I mean, that was in the packet we got before, right? So they've got parental consent.
I don't think they have signed off yet.
No one has signed up officially.
But I mean, the parent is
Before they're
in,
going on the trip, well, Marty, they'd have to sign.
yeah, but they're,
No,
my point is they're in there to sign off on, they're prepared to sign off on it and all that.
Parent would be aware of every aspect of the trip.
And then, of course, we've got liability insurance that's included into it to try to, you know, we don't want anybody injured, obviously, but I mean, I might get injured walking to the truck out here tonight. But it was a pretty thick packet of information that you gave us that covered a lot of those things outside of what if, but, you know, if is the largest two-letter word that there is. I mean, if I get home tonight, but I really appreciate what Doc says, and I appreciate what some of his constituents say, but I still, you know, for me, I think that you're very coordinated with all this. I'm really impressed with the way that, I mean, questions start coming and you start handing out information. You're very coordinated with it. You have your hand on top of it, and I have a lot of confidence that you'll make sure that the right thing is done. But then finally, I mean, this is not the only, the board has already allowed 2 other groups to go out of the country. And Director, correct me anytime I'm wrong. We've already got 2 other groups we're allowing out of the country. I don't want anybody to be treated any differently or anything like that. I'd like to see everybody treated the same. But I appreciate concern about cattle. You know, I was raised around cattle like a lot of people in here, not as much time as most of them, but I don't know how you can stand in front of us and say that absolutely will not ever happen. I mean, I don't know how you can say that. How are they going to glean as much from it if they're not around them?
Hopefully, if I call Kate and say, hey, I need to take out this piece of the itinerary, they'll find something else, equally educational, but what you guys would deem less dangerous to fill in with that.
Well, and here's my last question, unless something else comes up, and then I'll hush because I'll get long-winded. I mean, I realize that this is like a school trip or whatever. Is it actually? I mean, school's not in session. The parents are going to sign off on all this stuff. Is it actually a school trip?
No, sir, it's actually not. That was one of the questions that was sent to me, so it's actually on the back of that first page that I sent y'all, if you'd like to kind of look at the information for that. So, EF requires actually no school sponsorship, school support, board approval. I think that was one of the ways you got.
That's my question.
But, so for me, I made the assumption that if I was advertising this trip in my classroom and my recruitment base was my students, that I should come and say, hey, this to me is no different than when I say, can I take my students to state convention or national convention? I would respectfully like to ask you, do you mind if I take this group of students with me? So that way everybody's aware of it. You're not at the grocery store and someone says, hey, you seen them kids in Ireland? I've seen it on Facebook, like, what are they doing? You're like, kids in Ireland? Like, that's crazy. So everyone's aware of it, you know? But actually, no, I need nothing from you in that sense, and I don't mean that rude, but
No.
I just thought that since I was hanging a poster up in the school, Mr. Apple and I had that conversation about it, and he said, write a board proposal. And so I did. But honestly, it's no different than when somebody comes and plays travel ball in our gym. We give them that facility, so I essentially am just using that facility to hang my poster. So at the end of the day, no, I do not need your approval as far as EF is concerned. I would like your approval just as far as I'm concerned, as far as Smith County High School is concerned, because I think that that's a good working relationship.
Well, I think that speaks to your level of integrity and professionalism, but, and I do appreciate you doing that, but in my heart, everything I've read, everything that you gave out, I'm not content that the board is required to approve this at all. That you could do it without our approval, from what I've seen.
Can I interrupt a minute?
Yeah, please do.
Sure.
You gotta be telling me that she can take an organized class of FFA kids without her approval to a foreign country. Is that what you're saying? Basically, you said that, I'm not trying to.
It's not in during school. It's in the summer. It's not during school time. It's just, she's doing this as
It's not a
a,
requirement.
it's not a requirement, and she's doing this as a courtesy to us to know what's going on.
You know, I had a question for you earlier, and I'm gonna follow up with it. So what is the criteria that you're requiring of a student? Let's say a freshman would love to go, but he don't have the means. I know it's gonna be a fundraiser, correct? So are you gonna open this up for enrollment for as many kids that would like to go? Or have you got a specific number, 10, 15? I mean, have you got it?
I don't have a specific number. I ideally think about 10 to 15 is probably a good number of students to travel with, especially for a first-time trip and everything. There's a lady at a school system in Kentucky, they just got back from this trip this summer, and she has some great testimonies and stuff about it. And she travels every year, does a trip every year with 30-plus kids. And I'm like, ooh, dang, if you're loving that, I love to see people give that opportunity to their students, but there's necessarily no criteria, no cutoff, because it isn't really a school trip. So when I travel specifically with my okay to miss my class. I checked their grade average. I had a young man who was supposed to compete in forestry for me, and I told him he couldn't go. I said, you're failing English class right now, and only just because you wasn't turning stuff in upstairs to me. And I said, you're not going. And guess what? He turned in his work, and he was ready to go the next time we were going somewhere. But I can't necessarily set that criteria on this because it isn't really a school trip. Now, I outreached to the ag advisor at Lawrenceville High School, and I said, hey, you got any kids that would be interested in this trip? I'm trying to organize this. It's a community-wide opportunity. But if I go put an ad in the newspaper for it, I might get some real interesting clientele, people that don't necessarily need to be with our students. So to keep my recruitment base at a, positive level and an interactive level of who's gonna benefit the most from this trip, that's why it's great when I can hang my posters in the school system. I did outreach with Miss Gracie Griffin over at the middle school. I even went in and talked to our students today. So I thought these middle school students will be high school students by the time we take this trip. And I had an eighth grader the other day that, talked to me about it. He was interested in it. He wants that opportunity. So it's a community-wide thing. It's open. If any of y'all would like to go, you're welcome to come and go. I'd love to have you. So it's not just for Smith County High School or Smith County FFA. It's open to all students within this community.
I think that would answer Mr. McDonald's question, and Mr. Smith brought it up, which is an excellent idea, is have, Ms. Moore draw up something that says, does your child want to interact with cattle or does not? And have that parent or parents, or hopefully both parents, sign it saying, no, I don't want my child interacting with cattle, or, yeah, I don't have a problem with that, I'm fully aware of what's going on, and yes, I want it to happen. Then when that particular part of the trip comes up, then you can look at that child and say, now listen, your mother and father says they do not want you interacting with these cattle. You will have to stay back away from this, where the rest of these have had waivers signed that they can do this, and look like to me that simplifies the problem.
If you think we could legally satisfy, that would satisfy, I think, what Mr. McDonald's
Yeah.
saying.
I'd like to make this comment. If she doesn't need our approval, why are we entertaining this? Just, let's be honest with you.
Well, I think one thing,
She's doing it out of respect
It's
for
bragging for your program. I
Yeah.
think it's great.
Yeah.
PR for her program, what she's trying to, you know what I mean?
And she's doing it out of respect for the school board, I think. I mean, and I appreciate her coming
And I think,
before
not
us.
to interfere before I forget, I think one thing it does, you made a good point a while ago, if you go through the school approval, it keeps you limits on letting somebody from Overton County want to go, or
Yeah.
somebody
Right.
you didn't think would be good to be around her students, you say,
That's what
Right.
I
no, it's a school,
Right.
I mean, I
you know.
like
Right.
to travel with people that
Right.
I know, I
Right.
feel safety with. I think that our students are
It
safe
does
to
give
be
you some
with.
more
That matters
authority,
to
you know what I
me.
mean?
So if a student comes to me in my district and says, I wanna go. and
You send them to her.
No, I mean, let's just say they're a freshman at Gornsville,
Uh-huh.
but they're not in ag. Are they gonna be allowed to go?
It's a learning opportunity for everyone. And it might be a student that really doesn't think they have any interest in agriculture, and that's totally fine, but they might come back mesmerized by it. One of my favorite things is having students in my classroom, all the times freshmen, that they come in, they register the class, and they're not sure they want to take it. So they sign up for ag, and they're like, I don't know what I'm doing here. And by the end of the year, they love it. And they're that kid that comes back as a sophomore, and come back as a junior. Both, either way is acceptable, yes, sir.
Okay, any more questions? If not, we're gonna have a roll call on this. Mr. Lewis,
Yes.
Mr. Hessen,
Yes.
Mr. Enoch, Mr. McCaleb,
No.
Mr. Taylor,
Yes.
Mr. Manning absent. Mr. McDonald? I don't think you've really put a number on that. Have you,
From the board, he's up on how many it takes five.
you're talking about how many it takes for it to pass? It takes 5. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3,
And you've
you've
not
got 4.
voted.
And I've not voted.
No, you
I've
don't
got-
know what Mr. Shoulders gonna do.
Well, how about I do this? Let's just back up. I'm gonna vote yes.
Okay, I'm gonna abstain, but still get to go, I'll make a donation.
The motion passed. You can go do what you need to do.
Thank you, and I appreciate it.
Thank you for, coming in front of us when it wasn't necessary. It speaks volumes of your character.
Well, thank you, I appreciate it. I have several trips that come before you guys frequently. I had several of your children in class, so I appreciate the willingness and the ability to work with y'all. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay. Thank you.
Y'all have a good evening.
Superintendent's actions. If y'all had a chance to look at those, any questions that y'all need to ask Mr. Smith about superintendent actions, and do you have something you'd like to, I'd like to add? Yeah.
One is, I think, Mr. Lewis, you brought this up. We had told the board, and I think the county commission, but I think the county commission will be satisfied with the new, budgeting situation like it is to ask the questions, but you want us to bring back in front of you at some point where we was in the budget about the possibility of lights and different stuff. We'll try to have you a detailed where we're at percentage-wise and next month, if that's acceptable. If there's anything particularly y'all want between them, submit that, and it'll have everything on it, okay?
I did, for those of y'all that weren't at some of the budget, meetings when we had this last round, we did, because the county commission, struggled with our budget too. Of course, they're sitting in the same place we are. We just struggled with this item right here. But we promised them at night that as soon as we closed our books out for December, and we saw mid-year where we were standing, we promised them that we would get that back over to them. Now, of course, there's a financial committee now. They see that just as easy as we can. But irregardless, we made that promise, and I want us to keep it. So as soon as he has those numbers together, before we closed out in December, I would like for that to go to the mayor and county commission, because we made that promise, and we're just as good as our word, and I think that we should keep it. That's why I asked him to do that.
Yeah. Then, it'd been brought up, we talked about it about a year ago, doing maybe a leadership academy.
We did, and we've talked about that a lot.
And what it would be, we would try to recruit, we're a shocking percentage of our faculty has got 25 years or more. And it's just a matter of time, we're a massive, already hurting for coaches and administrators. And if we could recruit within, it's something I think would be, we can talk about that a lot more detailed at a retreat, but something I think maybe we should consider, maybe a little stipend to people when you go through that, and bring in people from colleges and other successful administrators from across the state, retired people and so on, that could come in and talk and see if we could maybe start getting people more interested in staying at home and this building within. Kind of like we're doing now with Teachers Grow Your Own. It'd be like we kind of start growing our own administrators, people who had any interest at all in it. The other thing, that TSBA retreat is March the 18th. That's a great day. It's always open to the public, but it's much more private because people are not going to come here and sit all day. But if there's anything that you want to know, or I want Tammy to have for topics that day that you'd like to be more in depth on, things you'd like for us to have pulled for you to talk about, if you'll let us know, we'll have that on the agenda and have the materials pulled up. If you do, please let Tracy or myself know, and we'll start getting in. We'll talk to Tammy as she's building the schedule. One, I appreciate your patience on these snow days. I'd say you're getting calls. We have 13 days. If anybody asked, you're not cheating the kids, you're not cheating people, because for years, most of the systems are on what's called the snow bill. And we've got about 13 days, I think it is built in, where the teachers and the students actually come. I think it's 20 minutes a day. I'd have to go back and see the exact numbers. So those are interchangeable days that can be used. If you don't use them, you just lose them. There's a lot of roads that are still terrible in the county. We have some, our buses, like everybody, our buses are better than most systems, I think, but they're diesel. We have been starting them the last 2 days to get them ready. We're hoping we can get back in Thursday or Friday, but we still got some awful bad roads.
Can I just say one thing?
Yes, sir.
I just, fellas, again, and I'm sorry I talk too much sometimes. Tommy's not here to remind y'all that, so. But I have badgered him about this Leadership Academy thing, or leadership, whatever, if we do it, will be called. And here's why it is on my mind so hard. Through attrition, we've got a lot of people in our system that could go any day. And we don't know, what teachers in our system might be having interest in being an administrator, a principal, or assistant principal, or whatever role that may be. And I would just like for us to formulate some type of leadership thing, and we've even talked about, he and I have even talked about, once a month meeting, somebody from the Department of Education come and talk about managerial duties in school systems and things like that, just people that they could benefit from. We don't know what we have out there until we've kind of fished the pond a little bit. Or we might have some that say, I'm going to be a principal someday, and they get in there and say, I don't want any part of that. But I think it's important for us to kind of have that in the background evolving, so that we always have a pool and people get the same opportunities for it to choose from. I'm just afraid that attrition will catch us someday, and we'll be saying, okay, well, you're the new principal. Congratulations. See you later. And I know we don't want to be caught like that. But they do the Leadership Smith County thing. I think that's been highly successful. So I just wanted to try to kind of think about integrating something like that maybe in the school system for our employees.
Great idea, maybe pick the employees that have exhibited leadership and maybe by invitation, if they could get involved in that.
Exactly. Just however the board members.
The best ones in charge.
Yeah.
We went around a couple years ago, and you'd be shocked that a lot of them get it, they're masters, but then they don't want to go any further. We went around and questioned, I think every one of them, if you remember, and pooled, and it was a very, very small pool that showed any interest, but those ought to be the one we taken.
Right. And then
We didn't
also,
want further, but we still, if we could get them involved, and maybe they would, you know what I mean?
and it gives
I don't think it'll
everybody
be,
opportunity.
I don't think we will have to cull any. I think we'll be lucky to get a pool even going to them.
Okay, any other discussion? If not,
Are we in new business yet, or where we at?
we are fixing to get to, we're still in superintendent actions. And hey, I think that's all you had when it is, okay. Now we're going into new business. New business is bid approval for diesel fuel. Do I have a motion on that?
I'll make a motion. Make a second.
Got a second, okay. Discussions?
Now, we,
Yes, sir.
not questioning the price, but has this been delivered yet, or is this to be delivered? Because I know we're not running.
It's been-
I know we're not.
Has it been delivered? December the 19th.
What's that?
December the 19th.
That was when this was.
Yeah, we have to bid and then buy.
So, I don't understand that 12/18, tell me what that date, 12/18.
No, 12/19. It's when we had to bid it, then we buy it. And this has done been bought.
This has done been bought.
Yes, sir.
I think it's the way the month fell this particular month, probably. I don't think that's typical.
Normally, that's not typical. We usually bid it, buy it, and then approve it. But this right here, where this has failed,
Was we out of school that day or something?
It's during, see,
I got you.
and I've tried to get her to do that, but she says she's more efficient this way. We could do it 2 cents above the rail, or we could do it on a 6-month, but she thinks she saves a lot of money. She puts a lot of work on herself and to get these every month. But she thinks we're saving quite a bit of money by doing that because of the market.
The volatility of it, is that the reason is she doing it because, well, no, I don't understand the reason, but I'm all right with it. I just seen this date of 12/18, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, we're a month past that, and we're just now bidding on it.
Well, I think it's because of the break, we only got 3 that bid anyway, and she even contacts them all every month.
Right, so that's a trailer load of fuel right there, that's one trailer load, 7,500 gallons. So, all right. I just want to get some
Okay, all right, no problem. You know, that's what we're for that. Any more discussion? If not, we're gonna have a roll call. Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. Hassan?
Yes.
Mr. Enoch?
Yes.
Mr. McCallum?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Myself, yes. That's the only thing we had in new business. Any discussion? I think Mr. Smith has went through everything on discussion. Annual policy review for January. I hope you've had a chance to look at all that. Executive session. Ms. Moore, do you have anything?
No, sir.
Okay, Ms. Moore does not have anything for executive session. If nothing else, do I have a motion to adjourn?
When's our next meeting? We got it.
Okay, it's right at the bottom right there. It'll be February the 18th. Okay, right here. Right here.
Oh, it ain't on computer, I'm looking at
Oh, okay, all right. You look at
Yeah,
your
it's on
board
here.
packet and it's February the 18th. Then the March 18th, which is the big all-day meeting.
it. Okay. That's the
Good.
all-day meeting?
Yeah, that's March the 18th. February the 18th is just a regular meeting and then all day on March the 18th.
I would like to mention this. I know
Yes, sir.
I know it voted and passed, but we'll have to watch this certificate. It was expired. It expired on 23rd of, it was issued on 10/13 of 22 and it expired on 10/1 of 23.
What's that?
This certificate
Liability
has to
insurance.
be-
Oh, okay, yes, sir, yes, sir.
We'll have to, I wish it's here or there.
Okay.
She's going without her.
Okay. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Mr. McDonald, second. Joe? All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Opposed?
You don't, your vote doesn't count.